Well, we have some special guests today. It's a special show. It's a noon on a Monday, not normally we do our show. Michael Gates comes back again. He's city attorney for Huntington Beach. Feared and loathed by the legislator in Sacramento. We'll show you some of the response that our attorney general here in the great state of California has to him, which is so odd to me. It's just so crazy that they would think that compliance is their primary preoccupation. But first, Drea de Matteo, Emmy Award-winning actress from The Sopranos. You know her from our previous experiences here. She launched a new clothing line called Ultra Free, dedicated to free speech and free thinking. You can follow Drea on X at Drea D-E Matteo, M-A-T-T-E-O, not D-I-D-E, and the clothing line at ultrafree.co. There it is. And she's always great to talk to, has a lot of ideas, very smart and very outspoken, and we will be with her in mere moments. Our laws, as it pertains to substances, are draconian and bizarre. The psychopaths start this way. He was an alcoholic because of social media and pornography, PTSD, love addiction, fentanyl and heroin. Ridiculous. I'm a doctor, for sake. Where the hell do you think I learned that? I'm just saying, you go to treatment before you kill people. I am a clinician. I observe things about these chemicals. Let's just deal with what's real. We used to get these calls on Loveline all the time. Educate adolescents and to prevent and to treat. If you have trouble you can't stop and you want help stop it, I can help. I got a lot to say. I got a lot more to say. Joint and muscle pains are exhausting and frustrating, but I've got a over-the-counter medication I want to introduce you to that provides great relief using the power of, check it out, chili peppers. Capsidin is made with a proprietary formula that contains no non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents, no opioids, no anesthetic or steroid, nothing, no chance for addiction, no side effects, no chance it's going to interact with other medication you might be taking. Capsidin contains capsaicin, which is the substance in chili peppers that burns your tongue. That gives you that burny feeling. And of course, I've recommended capsaicin creams to patients over the years, but other capsaicin creams burn your skin. That's what makes capsidin so unique. In clinical trials, capsidin has actually been demonstrated not to burn.
I've been using capsidin to relieve my pain in my hands and my wrist from carpal tunnel syndrome and arthritis. The results have been amazing. I use it every day during my show, and I highly recommend it.
Get the pain relief you need from various sources, even backache, sprains, bruises even. Order now at capsidin.com/Drew to get a 15% discount plus free shipping. That is CAPSADYN, capsidin.com/DREW. And before we bring our guests in, our friends at Cozy Earth want you to relax away from work, and Cozy Earth is dedicated to turning your home into a sanctuary. Their best-selling bamboo sheet set is made from 100% premium viscose from bamboo. Soft, breathable, you'll sleep several degrees cooler. We have it on our bed. The stretch knit pajama set has a thick elastic waistband, functional pockets, and their new puffy sheep slipper is made with ultra soft sheep fur that wraps your feet in luxurious warmth, cozy warmth. All the bedding and bath products come with a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. But once you experience the comfort of Cozy Earth, you're not going to go back. Wrap yourself in luxury this fall with Cozy Earth. Go to CozyEarth.com/Drew, COZYEARTH.com/DREW, and use the code Drew for an exclusive discount of up to 40% off. And in their post-purchase survey, please say you heard about it here, Cozy Earth from this podcast. Again, CozyEarth.com/Drew. So our friend Drea de Matteo, I want to talk about this recent second assassination attempt of ex-President Trump. This guy is interesting, Ryan Routh. He is an enigma wrapped in a riddle, and I'm wondering if Drea has any idea about him. There he is in his current state. He's looked a little more put together in his earlier posts in his previous life. It seems like things have been unraveling a bit for him, but who am I to say? Again, Drea, you can follow her on Instagram and X at Drea, D-R-E-A-D-D-E, Matteo, M-A-T-T-E-O, and also her ultra-free clothing line. Ultra-free is a .co website. Drea, thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me. All I can think about is a cozy earth right now. That's it. I want a cozy earth again. While they're trying to tear it apart.
It'd be nice to have a cozy country for that matter. So, but you're at least making cozy clothing. You're making cozy clothing with Ultra Free to try to get us in. And by the way, thank you for she's given us some Ultra Free clothing, and it's awesome. It's very cool stuff. So please do look at it, check it out. It's ultrafree.co. And when did you tell people, let's fill people in on when you became a freedom fighter as opposed to just an actress.
I mean, you played the Zelenko. It was nice to see him again, but because that was the voice during the pandemic. It was the voice of reason. It was over the vaccine mandate. It was that simple. I'd always been suspect about everything, both sides, both red, blue, the whole thing, red, blue. But right now it feels like freedom is more visible and more attainable on the right at this moment, and that's coming from a super liberal. I realized in that pandemic that it was just the strangest orchestration of an entire planet to fall in line. And I found that really interesting, and I couldn't unsee it. And then once I started to pick up all the rocks around the fake narrative, it really started to freak me out. I was actually, when I was coming on today, I was like, I'm going to use this half hour with Dr. Drew to get advice about what's happening in the world right now, because I'm getting accosted. Like, for example, one of my friends just reached out to me who I haven't heard from in years. And it's like, when you start a sentence with, I've known you for a long time and I see you've gotten very political. I'm just curious where you're getting your information from. And then sends me all of these articles on Monsanto and all of this sort of health related stuff. We definitely a push towards maybe an argument. And I thought that maybe they want to understand what's going on a little bit, but maybe not. And I realized that they don't really want to. They're just really hung up on the border and why we've always been surrounded by immigrants, and he knows that I have always taken care of a lot of people that didn't have papers, and maybe I shouldn't be admitting this shit, but who cares now? Because I feel like the issues are so much bigger. And he was hung up on abortion, and I was like, please don't be one of these liberal men that want to freak out over abortion, because right now we need real common sense and to look at the bigger picture. Our freedoms have been slowly being dismantled for so many years. I don't think it even started with the pandemic. I think it starts with our anti-freedom tower right there in New York City when I watched those towers come down. So I just feel like right now, once, when I started to dive into that stuff during the pandemic, I realized that everything I'd ever thought was actually true, that there weren't really any conspiracies. The only conspiracies were, just against the American people. I don't feel like we're in a political realm right now. I feel like this isn't about politics anymore.
Do you listen to Mike Benz at all, who sort of helps make sense of things through this sort of lens of the intelligence complex? And also, gosh dang it, what's Naomi's husband's name? Susan, help me with that.
Brian O'Shea.
Brian O'Shea, yes. The two of them, Brian gives me sort of makes me feel more positive about things. And obviously Benz gets into the weeds of how much has been turned against us from the intelligence community on behalf of the military industrial complex and other powerful sources out there.
Yeah, I love Mike Benz. I don't know. I have to listen. Are you talking about, is it Naomi Wolf's husband?
Yes, Brian O'Shea. Yes, okay. Brian O'Shea. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the whole clothing line, actually, it's a new drop. It's all new clothes, and it kind of all revolves around the Patriot Act in a weird kind of way. And how, that was a really obvious first step, I think, but who was paying attention? I sure as hell wasn't, right. As a kid. But
no, listen, in fact, I was guilty. I was absolutely guilty. And I'm looking for opportunities to apologize wherever I can. And my rhetoric on the Patriot Act is one of those areas for plenty of opportunity for apology. I was one of these people that said, I got nothing to hide. They needed to fight the terrorists. What's the big deal? it's this slow creep that goes so far you can't imagine it. It's like you can't even think of where they're going to go with these restrictions and these interventions and these crawling up our tush with a colonoscope. It's beyond imagination for the way I see it, and it's sort of has a motivation that I can't understand. I can't understand. And why the deeper question, Drea, this is what I would ask you. Hear me?
Yes. Oh, you went low.
Yeah, Drea, I don't understand what the problem is.
What are you doing over there, Caleb?
What's going on?
Did you do something, Caleb?
There's nothing on any.
You're bumping
Everybody's
your
fine.
cable.
The audio.
Somebody's.
The audio.
Yeah. You're
Slow
bumping
down.
cables.
Well, I was going to be the one to mess it up.
Not you, Drea. Not you, Drea.
right,
You're
Some
fine.
weird sound stuff today.
My question is, my real confusion now is why isn't everybody pushing back? Why isn't the job of everybody who understands the foundational principles of this country? Why aren't we all going, hey, come on, let's get back to the basics here, what this country is founded on?
That's what I wanted to ask you today. I was like, I don't understand. And you as an addict specialist too, I think to myself, what is this addiction to war, censorship, all of the things that we stood for as liberals, how the inversion of it all is working in their favor. It's like people ask me, wow, Dre, you've changed. And I'm like, no. And I think Kennedy always says this, I have not changed, but that party's been hijacked. The only thing is we are the ones that are waking up are only realizing it now. But a lot more too during Obama and Clinton, but who the hell knew? And I know that as a Democrat, when Democrats are in office, it's nap time, but I don't understand why there is this sort of it feels like people are nihilists at this point. And I feel like we've sort of brainwashed the younger generation to hate themselves. I've said this before, I think even on your show, but I don't think people think they deserve any better at this point. And I fucking feel like I deserve a lot better as an American to be told the truth. And I do think that the karma on this country is so deep and we have so much blood on our hands that it's hard to shake that off. And I think even with these 3 freedom fighters in office, and I'm sure there's a lot of bad people around them as well, even inside that organization, but people like Tulsi, I know you guys were talking about the World Economic Forum, or Zelenko was, but there are a lot of young global leaders, and I think a lot of people would see this if they didn't understand it as something dignified. But there's no dignity in it. And it's actually right in your face. Like anybody who wants to learn about that organization, the playbook's wide open. It's not like they really have to dig deep to understand it. They might need some cliff notes to understand the symbolism behind some of the bullshit. But what I don't really understand is how no one is realizing that these people in office are not going to make the difference. I'm not sure it's going to matter who wins. I think that what matters is what we do at this point. It's going to be about us.
Well, I completely agree with you on that front, and getting us together is sort of the hard part, and defending free speech is the only way we're going to get us together. It's interesting you mentioned that you're a longstanding liberal, and the vast majority of my career I was spent swatting off the right, because the right was always telling me what I could and couldn't talk about on the radio. I couldn't talk about morning after pill, like blah, 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 blah. They misrepresented the science. It was so frustrating. And now to have it coming from the left, frankly, with much greater pernicious intensity is so astonishing. And how people feel justified in doing so, I just don't get it. It's funny. You mentioned, I have a couple of comments. You said, I was listening, or I was watching a comment by a colleague who the other day she's a young physician who said, well, my career is dedicated to decolonializing medicine. And I thought, I have no idea what you really mean by that. Do you have any idea what that means? How do you decolonialize a scientific discipline? And by the way, Scientific American, first time in their 170-year history, endorsed a presidential candidate today, or within the last day or so, which was Kamala Harris. And what now? So the science community is going full political? Is that really what we want to do?
Has been, though. I mean, we watched it unfold in COVID, and we didn't even recognize that Big Pharma had us by the balls way before then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, it's like it completely pulled the Band-Aid off of the wound I saw was not covered by a Band-Aid. There's a serious wound in our situation, in our operation of our country here. And you mentioned nihilism and brainwashing. I really think a lot of it is that. I think as my friend, my aging brain, Gad Saad points out that the woke mind virus is that it is a virus, and it has at its foundation post-structuralism, and post-structuralism has at its foundation that there's no such thing as the truth. And if there's no such thing as the truth, there's actually no way we could be communicating through Zoom here right now, because only through use and application of the physical, electronic physics, did we able to get the truth about that. So truth does exist. And yes, there are certainly relativistic considerations, but to rest everything on no truth is brainwashing. And it ends in nihilism, right? If there's no truth, then we might as well be nihilistic. And it's an old playbook. Mao used it, Lenin used it. And the thing to understand is that you want me to give a little presentation about this, and I keep chanting about this. 20% of people get brainwashed quickly. They are persuaded immediately, they're enthusiasts, they're evangelists, and sometimes they're smart even, but they're easily brainwashed. 5 to 10% of people like yourself are throwing the bullshit flag right away. Like, what is going on here? This is not right. Something is wrong. They're trying to brainwash me. And 70% of the people are just trying to live their damn lives. We need to get the 70% to stand up, for instance, things like, surgical mask mandates, and not do that. Because the people that are forcing it on you, I really framed this the other day. I thought this is absolutely true. People that are forcing it on you, those people who think of themselves as doing God's work would have been the prison guards in Nazi Germany. They would have been the Hitler Youth. They would have been the prison guards. They would have been that is that thinking. You've adopted the brainwashing of the moment, and you've taken it, and you're going to force it on other people. You're going to tell them how they should be behaving. That is how the average German became a prison guard. That's how that happened. And you need to examine yourself if you're one of these people saying mask up between bites, because that makes no sense whatsoever. You are completely brainwashed, and you are using your brainwashing to push your will on other people. I wonder where in history we have seen that.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is crazy, but my kids know all the words to the Mao Zedong song, because she went down a super big rabbit hole trying to learn about Chinese history, and I didn't know that much. I learned from her, and I was really I'm blown away at Kamala's her poster and her slogan of "Forward." And while they're sitting here trying to, take Trump down as being Hitler in the news, which is such a dangerous and truthfully one of the dumbest fucking assessments of all time. Whether you like Trump or not is pretty much irrelevant. But let's just look at forward. All you need to do is put the Great Leap right in front of it. It's not like that system hasn't been implementing every single aspect of a cultural revolution. From, trying to tear down statues, to taking away tradition, to completely trying to get rid of any type of You have liberals becoming conservatives now just to conserve their memories at this point. Like, they're just trying to wipe everything clean. It's
right.
dangerous.
And I want to light you up. I want to light you up on something else too. It's not just Mao. The slogan, strength through joy.
Oh, yes, I know.
Kraft durch Freude. Kraft durch Freude. Kraft durch Freude. This is what we are. It's an old playbook, and I don't even want to accuse anybody of stealing the previous playbooks, because I believe that humans are sort of predisposed to going certain directions. You know, if you're going to try to persuade somebody, this is a very persuasive thing that they found their way into, and guess what? It kind of works, and that's why previous historical trends have found their way into these things, because they work. I don't think somebody went, the Nazis did it, we're going to do it. You don't have to do that. These things work when they go into these sort of modes, these trends that we are in. And for me, Drea, the only thing I can really point at, and by the way, one of the reasons I brought Michael Gates in here with you, you live in California, where compliance is the sort of the call from Sacramento. You must comply, sir. It will give you faith again that somebody is fighting back. So we'll get to him in just a second. But I got off topic. I want to get back to the assassin today, Routh, and what you thought of him. Was that his name, Routh? Yeah, Routh. What did you think about that? Here is his arrest, Ryan Routh. And I just saw a post where he had a Harris Biden sticker on his car. He's a registered Democrat, but he seemed to be sort of in the Republican world. But he had very complex views. People that you don't know, he apparently went to Ukraine to fight on the behalf of the Ukrainians. And his essential role there, as I understand it, was to do an old-style CIA scam of getting visas for Afghan fighters to fight on behalf of there's his house, to fight on behalf, is that his, can you see the bumper sticker on his car, the Harris bumper sticker? But anyway, to get the Afghan fighters to fight on behalf of the Ukrainians. How do you think, Drea, it could possibly be, given that this was a CIA playbook, that the CIA didn't know about this guy? It makes it all so confusing and wild. This guy does not have a specific political point of view. He's clearly a nutty dude. I mean, I don't want to say psychotic. He's not. He's just a nutty guy, and he's using things that makes you think about intelligence operations. What do we think about this?
I mean, I haven't fully rabbit holed this guy. There's not enough information yet, but I've seen a little bit so far. I saw all of his tweets before they took him down.
Here's his book that he wrote. Here's his book where he decided that we should kill Trump. This was the book. This must be his latest rant, I guess. I actually retweeted this. I was like, oh my God, this is so nutty. But the point is, here's what I want to ask you, Drea. So the news outlets have gone in and said, aha, you see, he needs to tone down his rhetoric because he is inspiring assassination attempts, not their rhetoric about what he says. Now, by the way, I would accept we're all duplicitous in this thing. We keep reporting on what he says. We amplify it. We don't like what he says. Maybe what he says incites people to do crazy things. I cannot believe the press takes no responsibility for this.
What? But we don't like what Trump says? Is that what you're?
Here's what they've gone at you. I know you don't watch mainstream media, but they've gone out this morning and said he is inciting his own assassination attempts. He's responsible without taking any responsibility for themselves for amplifying or inciting that. None, zero.
Because he's a fighter, because he's fighting the system, he's fighting the establishment. I mean, I don't think anybody really realizes yet. And look, I could be totally friggin' wrong about everything. I don't think I'm wrong about Kennedy, though. But, I really don't think that any of them, I think that they're going against the establishment all the way. I think Trump, when he was in office the first 4 years, didn't realize that the people all around him were snakes, which is why they're all endorsing, Kabbalah right now. That's why I like to call her Kabbalah. They're going to come get me right here at my house. I just, it's an inversion. Again, it's gaslighting. I feel like the narrative is getting so it's so vulnerable right now, because as much as they have control through technology and censorship, they have, there's a balance there. Technology is also the Wild West. So how do you control everything from being suppressed? So, sometimes I even wonder how Trump's allowed to have any narrative at all, because they didn't give Kennedy one. You knew he wasn't allowed to go on Fox News. You couldn't mention him, but at least Trump was allowed to operate within that system to some degree. I mean, we all know that all those stations are owned by the same shareholders. It's not hard to figure that out if you're someone who's curious about the whole theater of it all. I do think that these guys want to go up against the establishment completely and really try to drain the swamp. I think that all of these assassination attempts that have been made on every political leader that has cared about truth and justice and the ending of wars have all been taken down. And all that information's been suppressed forever. But, and then, they make all these players out to be crazy, or, we all know about MK Ultra. We all know about all these different operations that the CIA has to do with, and why the American people just totally refuse to pay attention to any of it is strange to me. They'll watch movies about it and they love those movies, but they don't really want to know that it's actually happening. I mean, it actually is. So, yeah, these assassination attempts, I think that it's going to keep happening until they hit a home run, which I hope doesn't happen.
It is really the fact that we just moved on from the Pennsylvania shooting, and then we just moved on from this guy. At least the police there locally with this Ryan Routh guy, the Florida police and the Secret Service had a press conference. I was like, good, thank you. Give us a press conference. Our norm is to give information to the public. But I really do, Dre, I've got to take a break in a second, and we're going to bring Michael Gates in here too. But I just think we have to stay focused on simple things. And to me, freedom of speech is such a simple focus. It's clearly something that Elon Musk focused on. I don't know if he bought Twitter with the explicit intent that he was going to find all these distortions of the narrative, these ridiculous attempts to censor people that he uncovered, and that discovery led him to become a free speech champion, or if he went in with that in mind, or at least suspicion that that's what he might be doing. But it really is incumbent upon all of us to just allow it to happen, defend free speech. Yes, if somebody says something that hurts somebody else, there's an entire legal system in place to deal with that. And guess what? That's what puts constraints on it. When somebody yells fire in a crowded movie hall, they will get in trouble. Something will happen to them. And there's all kinds of consequences around free speech that the law will take care of without us restricting the speech.
I agree. I also feel like in some ways, fuck your feelings right now. Like everyone we're living in an overly sensitive, desensitized world, and it's so unbalanced and crazy, and the chaos and the fact that people aren't asking questions today about Trump's second assassination attempt, and they still want to write me texts about how they can't stand him because he ran his business poorly. I'm just like, what are you paying attention to? I'm so confused. Don't you want to understand why this is happening? Anyhow.
Right. And by the way, back to your feelings, I keep saying that we are so clear in mental health that exposure is how you create resilience and regulation and the capacity to tolerate the vicissitudes of living, the ordinary misery of life. It is ordinary, and exposure is what gives our brain-body system the opportunity to regulate ourselves in response to that. And it's a mode of treatment for anxiety disorders and OCD. You give tolerable doses of exposure therapy. We know it. Social anxiety. Working, you go, listen, when I went from intern to resident, you don't think I was anxious? I was thrown in. And it was exposure that you live up to you step up when you're in these situations. And the fact is, by limiting people to exposure, we are literally handicapping them. And then to create a limitation of free speech around that, now we've subjugated the principles of our country for something that's going to the harm is not the whatever was in the speech. The harm is preventing people from managing the exposure. I'm not saying hate is okay. I'm not saying that. Obviously, hate is not okay. But this over preoccupation with we're the good guys and we wouldn't hurt anybody. No, speak your mind, and let's get into it. And we'll be kind and empathic and all the things that we do as human beings, but we will not shut down discourse and free speech. We have to take a break. Michael Gates comes in here in a second. Drea de Matteo stays with me. We'll be here in just a second. I'm excited to bring you a new product, a new supplement, Fatty. I take it. I make Susan take it. My whole family takes it. This comes out of, believe it or not, dolphin research. The Navy maintains a fleet of dolphins. And a brilliant veterinarian recognized that these dolphins sometimes developed a syndrome identical to our Alzheimer's disease. Those dolphins were deficient in a particular fatty acid. She replaced the fatty acid, and they didn't get the Alzheimer's. Humans have the same issue, and we are more deficient in this particular fatty acid than ever before. And a simple replacement of this fatty acid called C15 will help us prevent these syndromes. It's published in a recent journal called Metabolites. It's a new nutritional C15, pentadecanoic acid it's called. The deficiency that we are developing for C15 creates something called the cellular fragility syndrome. This is the first nutritional deficiency syndrome to be discovered in 75 years and may be affecting us in many ways, and as many as 1 in 3 of us. This is an important breakthrough. Take advantage of it. Go to fatty15.com/Dr. Drew to receive 15% off a 90-day starter kit subscription, or use code Dr. Drew at checkout for that 15% off, or just go to our website, drdrew.com/fatty15. Many of us have not gotten over COVID. I'm not talking about the virus itself, but the response. We were flabbergasted about what the government could do to us. There is no telling what they might pull next time, and it's looking more like there will be a next time. So we all have to be what I call rationally ready. That's where the wellness company comes in. TWC is about access to physicians via telehealth, access to potentially life-saving medication. Years ago, having access to medication and telehealth might have seemed crazy, but now it seems crazy not to. Now, with claims that gain-of-function research have been done on the bird flu, I urge everyone to take control of their healthcare with the help of the wellness company. Go to drdrew.com/TWC for 10% off all their products, including the 4 medical kits, each of which has a different purpose. And we've added Tamiflu to one of them in case the bird flu does become a problem for humans. Be rationally ready. drdrew.com/TWC for 10% off.
That's brilliant. And thank you, Drew. Where's Dr. Drew? Where is he? Dr. Drew. Dr. Drew.
I feel like we're not seeing enough of RFK these days since he has joined the Trump team. Get him out there, get him in Washington one way or another. Also, as far as the wellness company, they have a new program called One Wellness that gives you access to all sorts of special access to telehealth, free supplements, free emergency kits. Do check out One Wellness. You may like that service. Again, they're really looking for cost-effective ways to give you guys good care, and it's number one wellness. One Wellness. Michael Gates is the city attorney at the city of Huntington Beach. You can follow him at gates4hb.com, Huntington Beach. Also on X, Michael Gates ESQ Esquire. Drea Matteo, as you know, is still here with me. Ultrafree.co is her clothing company. Support her, support the company, and please welcome Drea back and Michael Gates. Michael, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So I think, you know how I am and is sort of how I feel about the work you're doing. I have a feeling you're going to have the same impact on Drea. And so I want you to tell her, what you've been able to accomplish there in Huntington Beach. And then I'm going to talk about the most recent examples of the excesses coming down from Sacramento.
Yeah. So again, thanks for having me. Just by way of introduction, I mean, Huntington Beach is a pretty big city. It's the 23rd largest city in the state of California out of 482 cities. It's the fourth largest in the county of Orange, and it's actually larger than half of the 58 counties in the state of California. So we're big. And we've been fighting back, pushing back on Sacramento really for years. And Dr. Drew knows from Huntington Beach suing the state over the forced beach closure during the COVID lockdown, through a number of other cases that we've been fighting. And really, frankly, Sacramento's taken notice of that, taken exception to that, and they've been fighting back. So we've been embroiled in legal battles for years. By way of, one example too, we sued the state over its wrongful withholding of millions of dollars of tax reimbursements to our taxpayers here in Huntington Beach. And last year we won that case, and we're bringing back $38 million from the state of California back to Huntington Beach. So we like to call here in Huntington Beach, we like to call Huntington Beach the land of the free and the home of the brave, because we're really not afraid to stand up, assert our rights, and push back, even if it is, the state of California and it's sort of a David and Goliath situation. We're going to fight for Huntington Beach. We're going to fight for what's right. So we've had a lot of success in the courts, and there are a whole host of other battles, including the state now suing us over a new voter ID law, which I'm sure, Dr. Drew, you'll want to talk about. But yeah, I mean, that's just a kind of an introduction of what we've been doing, embroiled in legal battles for years and having a lot of success against the state of California.
So, Drea, I don't know if that makes you feel any better. It makes me feel a little better. Whoops, I think it is my connection here that gives us trouble. Yeah,
that's my connection.
Yeah, it's not Drea this time. We found it, Drew. It's that cable you just clicked. There you go.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody keeps telling me to move to Huntington Beach. Everyone's like, Dre, just get out of LA and go to Huntington Beach. If you're going to stay at all, go there.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Well, I know it's a little more conservative there. Even though I'm a liberal, I still feel safer right now with our old, So we need law and order, man. This is a hellhole right now.
And I'd say we are a little bit more conservative on balance, but I think the difference between Huntington Beach and other cities in the state, even conservative cities, is it's really like you've been talking about with Dr. Drew. It's about freedom. It's about, wait a second, this oppression from the state, whether it's on health and medical issues, or housing issues like we've been fighting, and now voter ID issues, this oppression has got to stop. Cities have city councils. The voters in cities duly elect their local elected officials, vest them with the authority to exercise their discretion to make decisions for their city. And now Sacramento's coming in and just with a broad brush saying, nope, you're not going to make your own decisions. We're going to make decisions for you. So this really is a battle of freedom, liberty. And like I said, in Huntington Beach, we consider ourselves sort of the land of the free, maybe the last bastion or maybe a beacon of hope and of light for other cities in the state of California. So conservative, on the conservative side, yes, but really it's more than that, because this kind of local control, this kind of freedom, this kind of liberty that you were talking about in the last segment, that's for everybody. That's for Democrats, that's for liberals, that's for everybody. Everybody should feel free in their towns, in their cities, in the state of California. And most don't. In Huntington Beach, we're pushing back and we're trying to change that.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, and Alexis de Tocqueville, he came to this country from France. He was a French aristocrat. A lot of his family was killed in the revolution with Robespierre's Committee of Public Safety. Committee for Safety, everybody. That's the terror was acted out through the localized, centralized Jacobin authorities. Anyway, de Tocqueville came over here and tried to understand why democracy worked in America, and his fundamental observation was the local practice of democracy is what made it work. And if the local practice of democracy is not allowed to function, and if it goes upstream to a centralized bureaucracy, we are heading towards, we are in real trouble.
Yeah. I feel like giving stuff to the states and the cities and everything, just a true democracy is important for sure.
Well, the government...
And I'm a fan of the state system. I think the Jeffersonian outlook is a good one, but California has gone so rogue, so out of control. It's so huge. It's so bloated. It's so full of itself, and it will not let local governments function. Michael?
Yeah, just a couple quick points. So, Dre, if you didn't know that during the beach closures back in 2020, the state came down and really was punitive, punishing coastal cities for allowing people during the lockdowns to go out and enjoy the warm sun and the sand. How dare they, right? And so the state came down with armed state troopers, bulldozers, and concrete barricades and pushed heaps of sand onto children's playground equipment, but also across boardwalks, wouldn't let people bike or walk. So very, very heavy-handed and very, very punitive. And now what the state is doing is they're trying to, because they don't like cities like Huntington Beach, they're trying to remodel cities like Huntington Beach by cramming in a bunch of high-density housing like Santa Monica into places like Huntington Beach under state law mandates. And so we're also in court on 2 different lawsuits trying to push back against the state of California, because to cram into Huntington Beach, for instance, a 50% increase in our housing stock overnight is just it would not only damage the environment irreparably, but it would change the quality of life in our town, and it really would change the character of our town. And so it's really important for Huntington Beach. We believe that this is sort of a last stand. We have got to push back on the state. And where other cities may think, well, we have the luxury of not pushing back, we'll just kind of see how it goes. Huntington Beach doesn't. I mean, we are in the crosshairs in Sacramento, and they are trying to remodel us and remake us. And if we don't push back, we're going to get steamrolled, and we're going to lose everything here. So the stakes are very high in Huntington Beach, but beyond just the quality of life, like Dr. Drew's been, preaching now for quite a long time, the freedoms and the liberties, and our ability to have democracy at the local level, all of that is at stake. And so, we've been fighting, and I think we're doing quite well. I'm quite pleased, but it's many years in litigation, and it's going to probably be many, many, many more.
And I wish you were fighting right here too for us.
Well, we are hoping that when we, start to score some of the bigger wins in court, that will have a trickle effect, and other cities will benefit as well.
I heard about the housing thing out there.
Well, let me show you. Let me show you, Drea. I'm going to show you so the rest of the country or the rest of the world, we're on the internet after all, sees the way our government treats us and our cities. And Caleb, I know you have the Gavin Newsom clip, which is about a minute or so, saying just comply. I don't know how you feel, Michael, but I thought the Attorney General saying just comply was more egregious. Am I right about that, or was the Newsom clip also equally as ridiculous?
Well, they're both egregious. The Bonta, Attorney General Rob Bonta, very, very egregious. And I will just preface your showing of the video by saying, listen, ladies and gentlemen, no free American should ever hear these words from their government officials.
SB 1037, Scott Wiener, working with our office very collaboratively, has created a process so we can stop the abuses of places like Huntington Beach that continue doesn't get it. Not only do they not get things done, they don't get it. The crisis of affordability and the manifestation of the very problem they criticize and complain about. They are a poster child, continue to be a poster child. And I guess it's just they need attention. But they also need to get their act together. They're wasting millions of dollars of taxpayers' money. They continue to lose over and over and over and over again. 1037 will remedy the sanction component of that judicial abuse and process once and for all. And so once again, we put Huntington Beach on notice, and I will conclude formally because I began formally as governor of California, asserting the state's right on behalf of 40 million people to move in a different direction and hold Huntington Beach accountable.
We are not the developer. We have goals, requirements, and standards. So through our settlement, they are required to do more than their settlement with the developer. So whether it's Woodside, who reversed course in one day, Pasadena, who got on track, Huntington Beach, who loses seemingly weekly in court, or Elk Grove. We will sue you, and we will win, as we have, if necessary. And again, we don't want it to be necessary. We have better things to do than to sue cities who know better from failing to comply with housing laws. So just comply.
Just comply. Come on, Drea. Just comply. Get in line.
You know what I want
just
to say?
comply
You
with the
guys are
lockdowns.
more official people, but I'm going to say it because I don't give a shit. Those two guys are fucking pricks. I can't even listen to Newsom. It makes me wild.
I
Thanks,
feel like
Susan.
I feel like that was a very toned down version of what you actually wanted to say. So I feel like your character in The Sopranos was about to come out, but yeah, it's really something. And by the way, let's state it clearly here. The reason we have a cost of housing crisis in California is the regulations effing Sacramento puts on the developers and the builders. We are so overregulated. We can easily undo that, and we will have ample housing because the developers will move in and they will do their job.
I mean, I would even go into the BlackRock rabbit hole when it comes to that. I mean, I feel like there are plans on the horizon to move a lot of people into the state of California, even more so. Wait till the winter comes. I don't have good feeling about what's about to happen to the state. Sadly, you know, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the people that are awake, but for the people that are not, I think they're going to get steamrolled.
And, yeah, Dr. Dre, I just add that their entire preface is wrong. Unlike other industries or other components of a free market, more supply does not equal lower prices. We've tested this. We have tested this in court against the state. We have told them, prove it up to the judge, show us the empirical data that an increased housing supply equals more affordable housing. And it actually doesn't, because like you said, it's the regulations. There's a whole host of other issues at play, but there's no empirical data that suggests or supports that an additional housing supply equals more affordability. It just doesn't exist.
And by the way, the ecological impact, you're full of bird sanctuaries, you have estuaries all over Huntington Beach. I mean, how can they do this? I mean, this is what was getting in my crawl about what they were doing with some of the homeless stuff. They were washing the excrement of 100,000 people down the street into the LA River out into the bay. And it was killing wildlife, killing birds, killing mammals. Where are you guys?
Well, we are 28 square miles in Huntington Beach here. We've got 8 miles of undeveloped coastline, meaning everything on the PCH side of the coast is undeveloped beach. And then we have acres of wetlands, which are pristine natural preserves. Other than that, we're fully developed. So when Newsom comes in here and Bonta comes in here and says, we want you to develop what they call affordable housing, it's not affordable, but high density housing, they're basically saying that we want you to increase your housing supply overnight. And we don't just want you to develop, we want you to redevelop, because we would have to look for and target already developed properties and identify them and target them for redevelopment. So we're talking about remaking. When I said remaking, I mean remake and remodel Huntington Beach literally. And then, like you said, with consequences to the environment, we know that this proposed building that the state is pushing on Huntington Beach, that's cramming down, it literally will deplete our groundwater supply, like literally deplete our groundwater supply. That's what environmental studies have shown. And so this is impossible, and we are going to push back. And those sound bites about how we're losing. Look, we have never been in a better place in Huntington Beach, whether it's on housing or any other battle. I love our side of the ball, so to speak. We're doing a great job in court, and I just don't think Bonta, frankly, knows what's going on with these cases, because his attorneys on his side are scrambling, in addition to making misrepresentations to the court in court to try to, gain some ground on their side of the case. They're losing. They're not doing a good job. And so, I like where we are. I think we're doing the wind is at our back. I think we're going to keep, fighting, moving forward. But it's absolutely necessary, regardless of the outcome, to push back on the state of California. Absolutely. And honestly, we're not just going to comply, because that means that our city council would have to adopt the policies of Sacramento, and our city council, who's free to deliberate and decide and exercise their discretion, the discretion that the voters vested them with, they have rights too. And so we're looking out for their rights, their local democracy, their local policymaking, and pushing back on the state of California.
And Michael, to follow on with your side of the ball, I'm so sorry, your beloved Cincinnati Bengals and Burrow looked good yesterday, but not good enough. They lost in the last 3 seconds. Crazy.
Yeah, just two penalties. Just 2 penalties was the difference.
That one really was the difference. But I'm not quite so sure about that, but I guess so. I saw him hit on the back of the head. He couldn't have caught the ball. But anyway, so something for you and I to talk about later. But Michael, I know the voter ID thing is also in there. I got to let you go because we're running out of time. Susan and I have a drop dead out today. But we appreciate you being here. We'll check back in with your progress. And again, we so appreciate what you're doing. And thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, Michael Gates, everybody. Andrea, before you wrap up, do you want to flush out what you said about BlackRock? I was like, huh? What?
Oh, no. I just think that there's going to be tons of those types of, housing areas all over the place. I mean, I think we've seen it. I think we saw it happening in the pandemic. I don't think that that's going to stop. And I think there's been a bigger play all along. For, while we're trying to depopulate, we're also trying to, there's no rhyme or reason to it, although I think they know what they're doing. But all of it is just, how I like to put it, is just a controlled demolition of this country so that they can get us to fall in line, and then other countries will follow us. It's happening everywhere. Wherever we performed a coup, those countries are falling apart.
Didn't it catch your attention that Michael Gates was pushing back on the lockdowns during COVID? That to me is like, whoa! I want to know what the guy's up to.
I didn't know that they were bulldozing sand and they had the National Guard. I didn't know that. I knew that they closed down when Gavin Newsom was off sipping tea in his fucking restaurant.
They were walking around with guns on guns were loaded. They were.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they soldered. They took the basketball courts and they soldered over the hoops, and they filled the skateboarding pits with sand. It was just it's egregious. It was disgusting.
Everybody should have been outside.
Yeah. Well, of course we should have been outside. Of course, and we knew it. This business of we didn't know. No, we knew. And by the way, if you allowed discourse, you would have known. But discourse was canceled, and people that tried to put some sense into your head were canceled. And you should just think about what you did. And I don't want people to be held legally accountable. I want them to come to the table and apologize. I see it now. I'm going to reconsider so this never happens again. Drea, again, great to see you. We got to have dinner soon. Maybe we'll bring Michael in to inspire you further.
I'm trying to get her on my show this week too.
All right, so maybe she'll be on.
I'm going to try to come in. I'll let you know in a couple of hours.
Well, yeah, this is our friends at the New York Times saying the First Amendment is out of control. All right, so we're out of control defending the First Amendment. Fine, wow, fantastic. I guess make note of that. Go ahead and bookmark that, and let's see who ends up looking better through the scope of history. Drea, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on over to this side of things.
I've gotten more clearly here, that's for sure. On the speech side.
I love when you get fired up and you get mad about it. It's so good. It makes you want to go out and take them all down. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye, Drea. Ultra Free.
Dr. Drew strikes
ultrafree.co is where I want you to go. Support her, support us, support the people that support all this. Let us do this show. Appreciate you being here on a special show.
Thank you, Rumble, for putting us on the front page.
Oh, fantastic. Lovely.
Yeah,
very good.
That. You guys, they've been stingy lately.
Oh, really? Well, thank you. And again, we appreciate Rumble. There's our upcoming guest, Dr. Makary, coming in tomorrow. Marty Makary, his book I've been reading, Blind Spot, I think it's called. Dr. Brian Hooker coming as well. Laura Trump on the 18th with Greg Lukianoff from Fire. Matt Walsh on the 19th. Penelope Ann Miller to talk about the film she did on Reagan. And then Dr. Scott Atlas in the middle of October there. All great guests. Thank you, Emily, for booking those things. Emily Barsh. We have more to go, more to come. Stay with us. We'll be in here at 3 o'clock. I'm double checking my schedule tomorrow. Yep. 3 o'clock tomorrow with Dr. Makary. And 3 o'clock all week. And then, noon on Thursday for me. And then Susan will be doing her show at
Susan Pinsky with 2
slot.
forensic psychics. And Brian O'Shea is coming in. We're going to talk about the Trump shooter because we love that topic.
Oh, good.
And also, I'm trying to get Drea in too. She's really into all these conspiracy things. So I think I want her to take over my show.
Excellent. And we are going to meet Heather McDonald from Juicy Scoop right now. We have a thing. We bought
and
it.
Zhao Ying.
And Zhao Ying's coming. So
And Annie Letterman.
Annie Lederman is coming in. So there'll be an interesting comedy group there. I didn't realize we had so many comedians on this ship.
I bought a catamaran sail at a benefit for Hillside's, my favorite place. And we've been putting it off. So we're all going to go jump on a boat and laugh together.
And everyone is there now. So we got to get there. Appreciate you being here. We'll see you tomorrow at 3:00. Ask Dr. Drew is produced by Caleb Nation and Susan Pinsky. As a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. This show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your personal doctor, and I am not practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, don't call me, call 911. If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful resources at drdrew.com/help.